There is a strange moment that shows up in a person's life right before everything shifts. It is quiet. It is subtle. It does not look like a breakthrough from the outside. It feels like a small inner pull, almost like something inside you wakes up and stands closer to the surface. You cannot explain why, but you sense that the way you have been living no longer fits the person you are becoming. And if you are watching this now, it is not an accident. It means you are right at the edge of that inner movement, the one that arrives before your life turns in a new direction. You have probably felt it in small ways, a sudden tiredness of your old routines, a strange clarity that appears at random moments, a feeling that something in your story is rearranging itself behind the scenes. Most people ignore this. They label it as stress or pressure or confusion. But here is the truth. This feeling is not a sign that you are falling apart. It is a sign that your life is trying to shift you into a version of yourself you have been avoiding or delaying. You think you are exhausted because you are weak, but actually, you are exhausted because you are outgrowing a life that no longer matches your inner size. You think you are losing direction, but actually your old direction has finished its purpose, and your mind has not yet caught up to that quiet ending. Most people feel this right before their life turns a corner. They interpret it as chaos. In reality, it is alignment trying to break through the noise. There is something powerful that happens when the old version of you becomes too small. The habits, the thoughts, the fears that once felt normal begin to feel heavy. Conversations drain you faster. The things that once kept you comfortable no longer soothe you. You wake up and feel like the world looks the same, but your inner world does not. You cannot name the change, but you feel it. You feel the pressure of who you are supposed to become pressing gently from the inside. If you feel this, it means something is shifting. Not because life is forcing you, but because you are finally ready for something you were not ready to receive before. Your mind might still be in the past, but your deeper self is already moving ahead. And this creates tension, a kind of inner friction. It feels like restlessness, like impatience, like something inside you pacing in a small room. You may even feel like you are wasting time, but that feeling is only the signal that your next chapter is trying to open. Here is the truth most people never hear. When your life is about to shift, it does not feel like inspiration. It feels like discomfort. It feels like confusion. It feels like a quiet urge that will not leave you alone. You are not imagining it. You are not overreacting. You are not being dramatic. You are responding to an inner message that is older than your doubt. Most people mistake this signal and run back to what is familiar. They try to silence the pull. They try to distract themselves. They search for logic, but this feeling is not logical. It is directional. It is a soft turn of the inner compass. And if you are sensing it now, there is a reason. You would not feel the shift if nothing inside you was ready to move. You think you need more motivation, but actually you need more honesty. Honesty about what no longer fits. Honesty about what you have outgrown. Honesty about what drains you. This honesty is uncomfortable, but it is the doorway into the next version of your life. And right now, all you need to do is notice the shift instead of resisting it. You do not have to act fast. You do not have to take risks. You do not have to force a transformation. You only have to recognize that something inside you is preparing the ground. The moment you acknowledge it, the pressure becomes lighter. The confusion becomes clearer. The restlessness becomes direction. There is a quiet truth here. Nothing in you changes without reason. If something in you feels different, it is because something in your life is ready to change. There is another layer to this feeling, the one that shows up when you are almost ready to step into a different chapter. It is the moment when you start noticing that certain people, places, and habits feel slightly distant, as if they no longer sit in the same place inside you. Nothing dramatic happens on the outside, but inside something shifts by a single quiet degree, and that single degree changes the direction of everything. You might catch yourself questioning things you never questioned before. You might feel strangely protective of your energy. You might find it harder to pretend you are fine when you are not. These small changes are not random. They are indicators that your inner system is trying to realign itself. Most people feel this and think they are becoming overly emotional or overly sensitive. But here is the truth. You are not becoming more sensitive. You are becoming more accurate. Your inner world is trying to update itself. Old ways of thinking are loosening. Old patterns are cracking. Old self-doubt is losing its grip. But because the shift is subtle, your mind does not understand what is happening. So it creates stories. It tells you you are lost. It tells you you are failing. It tells you something is wrong, but something is not wrong. Something is unfolding. You think you are confused because you lack clarity, but actually you are confused because a deeper clarity is trying to replace the old one. You think you are stuck because your life is slowing down, but actually life slows down right before it redirects you. Most people feel this lull and panic. But the lull is not a threat. It is a reset. There is a pattern that shows up in people right before their life shifts. They withdraw a little, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, natural way. They stop over-explaining. They stop forcing conversations. They stop chasing validation. They become more present with themselves. They begin to notice what they genuinely feel instead of what they are supposed to feel. And this internal honesty creates a soft inner gravity that pulls them toward the life that matches them better. If you feel this pull, trust it. Your mind does not need to understand the next chapter in order for the next chapter to begin. Life often adjusts you from the inside out before you see any evidence on the outside. This is why the shift feels invisible. This is why it feels slow. This is why it feels like nothing is happening, even when everything is happening. Most people never realize that the most important changes begin when nothing looks different. When the world looks the same, but you no longer feel the same inside it. That is the moment when the story is turning. Here is the truth. Your emotional system is often ahead of your conscious understanding. It feels the shift before you can name it. It senses the change before you can rationalize it. That is why you feel the way you do. You are walking into a chapter that does not have a shape yet, but it already has a direction. And in this moment, you do not need to rush. You do not need to pressure yourself. You do not need to build plans or force clarity. You only need to stand still inside yourself long enough to recognize what is no longer true for you. That recognition alone is a turning point. Let this be your micro-practice for today. Instead of trying to figure out what your next step is, gently place your attention on the part of you that feels slightly different than it did before. Not the loud thoughts, not the fear, just the quiet shift. Give it a few seconds of awareness. When you do this, you stabilize the change that is already happening instead of fighting it. You step into the movement instead of resisting it. And here is something most people never realize. Inner shifts do not need permission, they only need space. And the moment you give them space, the pressure you have been feeling begins to fade. You stop worrying about the unknown. You stop replaying old doubts. You stop questioning your timing. You begin to sense that something is guiding you from within your own honesty. You are not imagining this shift. It is real, and it is already unfolding. There comes a moment in this inner shift when you realize that the life you have been holding together was built for a version of you that no longer exists. It is not a dramatic realization. It arrives quietly, almost gently. You wake up one morning and feel a small distance between who you were and who you are becoming. And that distance keeps widening until you cannot ignore it anymore. At first, you might try to go back to your old pace. You might try to force yourself into the same routines, the same expectations, the same emotional patterns. But something inside you refuses. Not loudly, not aggressively, just firmly. It feels like your inner self has quietly locked the door to your past and is guiding you toward a direction you cannot fully see yet. You think you are losing motivation, but actually you are losing tolerance for what no longer matches you. You think you are becoming inconsistent, but actually you are becoming honest. Most people mistake this transition for instability, but the truth is that you are stabilizing into a new version of yourself, and the old version is slipping away. There is a strange kind of grief that follows this process, not grief for people or events, but grief for the person you used to be, the one who tolerated more than they should, the one who feared change more than they should have, the one who tried to belong in places they had already outgrown. You might feel heavy during this phase, not because you are breaking, but because you are shedding. This shedding is not something you choose. It is something that happens when your inner world realizes it can no longer carry what once felt normal. Patterns dissolve, attachments loosen, expectations crumble, and all of this feels unfamiliar, even if it is good for you. Here is the truth. Most people think growth feels inspiring, but real growth feels like confusion and tiredness. It feels like standing between two lives, the one you recognize and the one you can sense but cannot yet see. It feels like knowing something needs to change, but not yet knowing what that change will look like. If you are in this phase, understand something important. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not breaking down. What you are feeling is the emotional preparation that happens before a major internal shift. And the stronger the shift, the quieter it begins. There is a moment during this process when the fear of staying the same becomes heavier than the fear of changing. It does not come with fireworks. It comes with a simple inner sentence. I cannot keep living this way. And when that sentence appears, it marks the turning point. From that moment on, the shift is no longer optional. It is already happening. You think you need courage, but actually you only need acceptance. Acceptance that you cannot return to who you were. Acceptance that your inner world is guiding you somewhere new. Acceptance that the next version of your life will require a different version of you. Most people never understand how powerful this acceptance is. When you stop fighting the shift, your anxiety softens. Your confusion loses its intensity. Your restlessness begins to make sense. You start to see the small signs that life has been placing around you. The conversations that felt different, the opportunities that came unexpectedly, the thoughts that returned again and again, the inner whispers you tried to ignore. Suddenly, they all connect. You begin to realize that the shift did not start today. It started long before you noticed it. It started the moment you no longer fit inside your old life. And everything you have felt since then has been the echo of that first crack. Here is the truth. You are not at the beginning of the shift. You are in the middle of it. And the hardest part is behind you. The part where you doubted your feelings. The part where you questioned your timing. The part where you tried to stay in places that were already releasing you. Now you are stepping into the part where things align. There is a quiet precision in the way life shifts you when you are ready, even if you do not recognize it at first. You start noticing things you were blind to before. Small signals, subtle confirmations. A sentence someone says that lands deeper than expected. A moment of clarity that appears out of nowhere. A sudden wave of calm in a place where you used to feel pressure. These moments are not coincidences. They are reflections of the inner shift reaching the surface. You might feel more detached from what once controlled you. The opinions that used to hold weight begin to lose their influence. The expectations that once shaped your choices start to feel irrelevant. The noise around you becomes easier to ignore. And for the first time in a long time, you begin to sense yourself without interruption. You think this distance means you are disconnecting, but actually you are returning. Returning to your center. Returning to your truth. Returning to the part of you that has been buried under years of pressure, fear, and self-doubt. Most people never reach this point because they mistake this calm detachment for numbness. But it is not numbness, it is clarity. Here is the truth. Right before your life shifts, your inner world simplifies. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop explaining your feelings to people who are not meant to understand them. You stop trying to fit into places that shrink you. Instead, you start noticing what makes you feel alive, what feels heavy, what feels peaceful, what feels wrong. This noticing is not small. It is the foundation of your next chapter. There is a powerful moment during this stage when something inside you whispers, softly but unmistakably, that you are done. Done with patterns that drain you. done with choices that dim you, done with living in a way that does not match who you are becoming. That inner whisper is the moment your shift becomes irreversible. Most people think change happens when they finally take action, but the real change happens the moment you decide you cannot continue in the old direction. The action comes later. The shift begins now. You think you need a perfect plan, but actually you only need to tell yourself the truth. The truth about what you want, the truth about what hurts, the truth about what is missing, and the truth about what you can no longer pretend to tolerate. Once this truth surfaces, the next steps begin to reveal themselves naturally. This is why the restlessness you feel is so important. It is not a flaw. It is a compass. It signals that something in your inner world is misaligned, and your system is trying to correct it. Most people push this feeling away, but you are not meant to push it away. You are meant to listen. Here is the truth most people overlook. When you feel a shift coming, it is because the new version of your life has already started moving toward you. You can feel its pressure. You can feel its pull. You can feel its presence even if you cannot name it. And this is why your old life suddenly feels too small. It is not because you have failed. It is because you have outgrown it. You might also notice that your intuition becomes louder during this phase. Not in mystical ways, but in practical ones. You sense which people drain you even if they hide it well. You sense which opportunities are wrong even if they look promising. You sense which choices feel heavy even if they seem logical. This sensitivity is not new. It was always there. It is just finally being heard. And here is the simple truth. You are ready. Maybe not ready to explain it. Maybe not ready to act on it. Maybe not ready to name what is changing. But ready in the way that matters. Ready to stop being who you were and start becoming who you truly are. The shift you feel is not a warning. It is an invitation. There is a moment in every inner shift when everything suddenly becomes clearer, not because your life has changed yet, but because you finally have the strength to see what you could not face before. It feels like a quiet opening, a soft widening of your inner horizon. You begin to sense that the future is not something far away. It is something forming inside you, shaping itself through your honesty, your courage, and your willingness to let go of what no longer matches your truth. This clarity does not arrive with noise. It arrives with stillness, with a sentence that forms inside you that you did not expect. Something needs to change, and I am ready for it. Even if you are scared, even if you have doubts, even if you have no plan, readiness is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to stop running from yourself. You think you need certainty, but actually, you need presence. Presence with the quiet truth that has been rising for a long time. Presence with the part of you that is tired of shrinking. Presence with the part of you that knows you deserve a life that feels alive, not one that drains you. When you stand in this presence, the fear softens, the noise fades, the path becomes less blurry. And here is something most people never understand. The shift you feel is not preparing you for a small change. It is preparing you for a different way of living, one with more honesty, more alignment, more peace, more truth. You may not see the full picture yet, but the direction is already unfolding. There is a point in this process where your inner world begins to feel lighter, even if nothing external has changed. You wake up with a strange sense of possibility. You feel a softness in your chest where there used to be heaviness. Moments of calm appear where there used to be tension. This is the emotional signature of a turning point. Not excitement, not certainty, but quiet strength. Most people think their new life starts the moment they make a bold decision, but your new life actually starts the moment you stop lying to yourself. When you stop pretending you are fine with things that hurt you. When you stop choosing comfort over growth. When you stop dimming your own voice to protect the expectations of others. That is the true beginning. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are already crossing that threshold. You are already stepping away from the version of you that tolerated too much. You are already releasing the stories that kept you small. You are already becoming the person your future needs you to be. not in sudden leaps, in quiet, steady shifts. Here is the truth. You do not need to force your next chapter. You only need to allow it. Allow the old version of you to fade. Allow your feelings to guide you instead of frighten you. Allow your clarity to speak even when it is uncomfortable. Allow the shift to happen at the pace your inner world chooses, because this shift is not happening to you. It is happening for you. And before this moment closes, before the shift becomes the new normal, pause for 1 second and anchor what is rising in you. Notice the thought, the feeling, the quiet certainty that brought you here. Let it settle in your chest like a small inner truth you can return to. If one word or one sentence from this reached you, write it down in the comments to mark your turning point. A silent agreement with yourself that you are ready to move forward. And now you stand here, right at the threshold. The old life behind you, the new one forming, the shift already in motion. Tune in, recalibrate, shift your frequency,